what the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back for more SPTV. I'm joined this morning once again by Laura Anderson.
Hello.
Hey, your hair's looking great this morning.
Hey, it finally got a wash from all that rock and rolling.
So did mine.
Whew, yeah, I could tell, you know, we're on the same page.
We probably have the same routine. Hey, let me just, before we get started here, encourage everyone watching to go and subscribe to your YouTube channel. Let's zoom in on this bad boy. Hey, look, you're about to break 1,000 subs.
I'm about to be a dom.
And also, oh yeah, also this is for the first time we are simultaneously streaming to both of our channels at the same time. Okay, last night actually, late last night, I think the video didn't go live until like 10 p.m. I put up a video that was called Scientology Sabotages Documentary about abuse of kids, allegedly. And this is a documentary that you were in. This documentary is called Over the Rainbow. What, in your view, is the problem with this documentary? I guess we can just start out with there. What was your experience? What did they not put in? Why was it such a disappointment to you?
So I was approached by a really good friend, one of my best friends at the time, and she was dating somebody, and that person introduced me to this director, Jeff. Mm-hmm. And Jeff at the time was very sweet, came on. I mean, he seems like a sweet guy anyways, but not a Scientologist, not a former Scientologist. At all. No, okay. Had nothing to do with, he knew nothing really about Scientology. He just, or he was like learning and figuring things out about it. And I just felt like sort of connected to him through my friends in a safe point where I was able to just say what I needed to say. And I also felt really afraid at times to say things to him because I was still mentally coming out of Scientology. Like I was out of it mentally, but not speaking it and not saying it directly. I was literally, in these years that I was filming this documentary, I was like the SP declare and all that was starting to happen. Like during all this, and he was there through all of this, filming all of this. And the whole purpose from the beginning was to get the story told about the cadets and children and minors and underage, like people just who grew up in Scientology at the Int Ranch Cadet specifically. And it was supposed to be about cadets in general and about children who never had the, you know, will or the want to be in the Sea Org or Scientology, but ended up being that way because that's their lives. It was supposed to be about the scheduling and the abuses and the agony that went on at these cadet orgs, and about like maybe possibly about our parents and how they got into Scientology or whatever. That's what this was about. This is what I saved 5 years, not saved. I didn't even know what I'm processing it, doing the documentary with him, like a few days a week, many hours, and crying and processing so much going through this. And even to a point going back to the Int Ranch and filming everything at the Int Ranch, to a point like going to old places where I was at the dumpster area specifically looking for any evidence of children or kids being there at the cadet org just by going there. And I had known that there would be some evidence. I just knew it was. I also had the brain at the time of being born and raised in the Sea Org. I knew, oh, they would have shredded it. They would have thrown everything in the dumpster. That's why I looked around the dumpster and I found this label, this org board piece that everybody should know what an org board is by now. But they found this organization piece that had a young cadet's name on it who had been near the end of the years of the ranch, was interrogating and drilling the governess group and the children on digging trenches and making sure they got their products done, and then graduating the governess group to go back into the cadet org. This cadet her name, Sarah Willett, was on the board and was in the mud around the dumpster area. And I found it. Anyways, all this was on the documentary. We went back to, we owned the Indians gave, apparently, this is my knowledge. I'm waiting to talk to Jeff. I did send him a message and said, what's going on? If you want to talk about this privately, we can do that. But I need to know what happened, because this documentary. So let me rewind. When it went back, when I went back.
And real, because for people who aren't going to totally understand the reference to the Indians.
Sorry. Yeah.
So Scientology's very secretive international base is located in Gilman Hot Springs, California. And the place where the children of the Sea Org members who worked on this base, the children were kept in a different location. That was a location that happened to be, correct me on this, please. It was either you had to go through an Indian reservation in order to get to that location. The place where the Int Ranch was. The Int Ranch is what they call the ranch where they kept the children of the staff members who worked at Int. Was it 100% surrounded? Was it like plopped right into the middle of an Indian reservation, which is just strict?
Like you cannot get on the property either end of Papa Flats or Saboba. This way, you would be going left onto Castile Canyon Road, which is the main road that goes all the way down. You still take that road all the way down, and then it goes through the gates that finally go on the ranch property that goes all the way down still, and then to the front gate.
Right.
Okay.
I know. Every time this comes up, Laura,
What?
time this comes up, the chat goes crazy about using the word Indians.
Because we're on Indian reservation.
I know you never heard this. I've never heard of an Indian reservation called a Native American reservation.
I thought somebody was thinking I was saying something wrong. I'm like, no. These are real things. Like,
no, I was just saying I've never heard an Indian reservation called a Native American reservation. It's still called an Indian reservation. It's not it's not a slur. It's okay. We're still going to use the word Indians. Okay, go ahead. So I just wanted to explain the reference to why anyone's even talking about
meaning like there was no natural connect, like, so we even had to get permission to get from the Native Indians. We had to get permission to get a certain amount of time on the Int Ranch to document whatever was there, whatever was left. And I could go, and it was very healing, I must say. It was very psychotic, actually, to go back to a place where you were in prison your whole life. And it was supposed to be some beautiful natural childhood, so that was very heavy on just my heart. But again, I felt safe because Jeff was there, and my friend who introduced me to Jeff was doing the sound and helping him with the film, and it felt safe and comfortable. And I was very excited, mentally and spiritually, to be able to put this out. So I knew it was going to take time. And so most of the time we had been filming for on and off for 4 years, him putting together and him filming other things. And he was many times, he definitely didn't tell me what specifically he was going to do with the documentary or any of that. He just was asking me for other cadets or other people that were a part of this. And so I gave him Nathan Tompkins. I gave him Sarah Seltzer. I gave him Shane Clark. These are all individuals who were raised in some form as children in Scientology. And Shane and Nathan Tompkins were raised their whole childhood at the Int Ranch or at Gold Base. So I gave him these people, and they told their stories. They gave a bunch of time and hours on their stories. And so not only that, going back to the Int Ranch, the whole purpose of this was supposed to be this. It took many years. I was supposed to, the producer called me for Scientology in the Aftermath, the show. And I told her, I even re-asked Jeff, and I re-asked the other person, Chaffee, who was the person who connected me. I said, hey guys, I'm getting asked by the producers to do this show, and that would be really good to get my story out there and to get this story out. This, I don't know. And they specifically said, no, we would ask, please don't do that. Please don't go on this show. They use these words. You are like the star of this documentary. it would basically, that would just suck if you just went, you know. Anyways, I just was like, okay, no problem. You know, I'm going to stick with this documentary. This is really cool because it feels raw and natural, and I'm just going through it as I'm going through it. My heart was broken when I saw that film. Jeff gave me a moment. So if you watch the film, and I'm not trying to promote it because it has nothing to do with the kids or anything about the Ant Ranch or the kids or any of the kids that were raised in a negative way in Scientology. It was all taken out. But what I do want to say is when I was watching the film, it was so long and boring to me. And I was just kind of like, oh, there's only like clips of the ranch and maybe me in the creek. And then this really intense phone call, which there's clips of it missing. And this intense phone call distracted me and just like put me in this like confused state. And I don't want to offend Jeff, the director. And, you know, I'm in this state of like, this is not what I did all this for. And then I was at a point where I am stronger and I'm, you know, slowly starting to get some sort of therapy and group therapy in some ways. I was also afraid of therapy because it just triggered me about auditing sessions and things like that. So I'm going through this and I'm just, when this is happening and he shows me the film and, you know, it's a long 2 hours or something. And it just kind of, I see other people in the film and I'm kind of like, wait, this is showing the E meter. And it just I'm like, this has nothing to do with anything. But I don't want to offend Jeff. I'm not sure what happened. I just remembered that's okay. Jeff's going to give me whatever footage I need or want, because he knows that I personally want to do my own documentary anyways about the Ant Ranch and just show the footage and the updated footage of how things look, like plants and trees we plant, like things like that. I wanted to just have that. He promised me, no problem, you can have whatever footage you want. I just want to make this film and do it my way or whatever. And I thought, you know what, maybe he'll do such a great film I won't even have to show any of this. So that's where I stand. Then I see these little, you know, other people posting about this film and I'm getting messages directly like, oh, I saw you're over the rainbow. And it's just kind of like, this has nothing to do with why we did all this. And Nathan's stories chopped and Sarah Seltzer's, all these, it's just like, what is this about? This has nothing to do with the truth. So the only thing I can imagine, when I did have a phone call, I asked Jeff earlier, I said, Jeff, can we talk about this? You know, what happened? I asked him for the footage. It was a whole thing. Oh, I never said I would give you that footage. And I was kind of like, that was the last phone call from my dad. You have to give me that footage. Like, there was a bunch of talk and he's like, oh, I can't do that. There was one point where he's like, I can't say. I said, what happened? Like, what happened? Like, and it just went to, I can't tell you about that. You know, I'm like, I can send you the footage or whatever, but I need to talk to my lawyer. He brought out the lawyer thing. Like, I can't talk about this. You know, I want to. And so that hurt me alone, just hearing that. But that's where we are right now. And so when people are like, oh, did you watch a documentary? Oh, I saw you in that. I appreciate it, but there's a lot missing. And that documentary did not do what it was supposed to do.
So even in the conversation,
obviously still very emotional about it.
Yeah. You know, I haven't seen the whole documentary. I've only seen the 1 hour version and a 1 hour edit that was uploaded to YouTube recently. And I'm not even sure I know where to see the whole documentary, but what I watched was so strange. Like, when you watch a documentary, usually by the end, you know what the point was. Like, there's an overarching message. There's a point. You know, documentaries usually have some sort of an activist bent. At the end of this documentary, I was like, that sucked. What was it even about? You know, like what
that's how I felt when he showed it to me privately in my little cottage where I lived at the time. And I felt but then I felt, oh, this is just my PTSD or something. Like, I can't, you know, I went to like be chill on myself and not attack him. Like, and he's there and he's kind of like a good friend to me at this time, you know? And I'm kind of just giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe, you know, maybe he's having trouble with the film people or whoever, or maybe he's not getting the platform for this that it needs, you know, like, I don't know. So it took a lot of time for me to process exactly that I was very upset about the outcome of this. And then I
So
didn't talk about it because I was sorry. I don't want to keep it. I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to promote it. And I also didn't want to talk about it because I was like, you know what, that's it. Obviously, like, you know, the Aftermath had to cut a bunch of stories, even in the amount that they like, there's no good platform in Hollywood to tell what really happened because it's so fucking disgusting and it's so hard to hear and society can't hear it. It's like, it can't be put on any platform without Scientology suing them or attacking them. So that's why. And it took me all this time, even to now just be going on YouTube talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Shit like this is probably the #1 reason why I think what's happening on YouTube right now is so fantastic. Like, why in the world would anybody ever at this point, would a former Scientologist allow someone else to edit and produce their story instead of just doing it on their own with no gatekeeper, no editor, no producer, no director deciding what they want to pick and choose from, you know, because the, and, you know, the Aftermath show I thought was very good at telling each individual story. But even then, like, I interviewed for 2 days, pretty much straight, and they have to go through that footage and put together essentially 30 minutes of airable content, you know, and that's tough. And even then, I know there were people who were not happy with their edit. I was very happy with mine, but I know there were people who were not. And you go, decisions have to be made. But I'm curious to know, like,
but like, okay, not even to like attack the Aftermath or anything, but to attack this film. Decisions have to be made. Like, I'm even giving Jeff the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe like his response about the lawyer and stuff, like, that made me feel so shitty. Like, what the fuck? You're not going to just tell me straight up? What do you mean, lawyer? What do you mean? We've never signed anything other than the fact that you can give me this. Well, I have my witness. Thank God I had Suzanne with me. But about the footage that I was supposed to get, she even asked him, stop, you guys. The cat and the dog are playing. Fox, you asked for it. When Suzanne was there with me asking Jeff, like, you know, before I signed off the footage and said, okay, you have the right, you can go ahead and, but, you know, this is all, I just gave him so much space. I've already been working with him so long. But anywho, and I'm sure he had not been dealing with whatever he was about to deal with when he's trying to release some film or something, right? I don't think he had bad intentions is what I'm saying. I don't think, you know, and what I'm saying is just, whatever did happen, I would like to know, and I deserve to just have the truth on it. And I will put out my own documentary now, and I will do it as much as I can, whatever footage I can. But I just want to know what happened. There's no reason that I shouldn't know.
Did you suspect that Scientology had somehow paid him off to cut out all this stuff about the cadets?
I've suspected everything. I suspected that. I also suspected maybe they're attacking him and his business. Maybe, you know, they're going to sue him if he doesn't show proof and evidence of all these children being abused. You know what I mean? It's like he has a huge, cancerous, money, power, hungry organization that's like ready to just really stab their poison needle in anybody that they can. And
did you ask him?
This film, had it gone out with everything in it, would have destroyed Scientology.
Did you ask him?
I asked him at the time, and then he said, I have to talk to my lawyer, And I said, okay, well, in the meantime, you need to send me whatever footage. And the footage I did get, I had to go through it and deformat it or change the form. Anyways, when I find it, it's just like clips of things and not the actual long whole footage. So I did message him after I got all this stuff last night when I was going to bed. I was like, oh my God, if I don't message him, I'm going to not sleep right. So I just said, hey, kind of holding my tongue and, you know, not blowing anything out of the water. I just said, you know, hey, I'm getting a lot of, you know, questions about this film and you know, if you have time, I'd like to talk to you privately. I texted him that, and I'll wait to hear his response.
No, I mean, when the thing came out, did you ask him if Scientology had in any way influenced the outcome of the?
I didn't. Oh, when he showed me the film, when he showed me the film and he was like, this is what I'm going to release, I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I kind of was like in that shock of like, oh my God, like, what do we do? And I was like, is this, maybe I didn't get it fully. Maybe there, and I was still like thinking about the conversation I had with my dad. I was just in a weird like in a weird mental space. Like, and so the film was going out in the festivals, I guess, as he showed me at the time, which could have changed even a little bit by then. But it was out going in the festivals, and I was just kind of like, oh, cool. Like, not so only recently was I like, what the hell? Like, I started going, wait, what about all that footage? What about all the ranch footage? Like, what about all that time we spent? What about Nathan and their story? And like Sarah Seltzer, like, what the hell? What the hell happened? What happened? So I did text him last night, and if he texts me back, I would love to have a conversation with him. And I don't know what he will or won't tell me, but
yeah,
at least.
But earlier on, did you ask him whether Scientology had any impact on the outcome of what he produced?
No, because I just I
So
almost thought he was going to do like a part 2 document or something. I just thought like, I didn't really get that, but maybe that's the beginning entrance or something. And maybe the words are just so normal in my brain that there is a story, but I'm just not getting it. And then later, when I was with one of my best friends at the time, I was like, Kieran, I am so upset about like this whole thing in this relationship with Jeff, like, is nothing. It just did nothing for the last 6. So she could tell that I was like, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, do I need to go to therapy on this? Do I need to get my own lawyer regarding this? Like, and then Kieran was like, you should just call him and ask him and tell him what's up. And so then I did that. And in that conversation, which was not too long ago, it was like maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Gosh. But I did say, hey, Jeb, what the heck happened? And then that came up. He was like, I can't talk much. I can't say anything else more. He was like, I need to talk to my lawyer.
That's so weird. Was that a huge red flag for you when he said that?
I felt that heart. That's when I said my heart broke. When I heard those words and the lawyer, I was just like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? What the fuck? Like, wow. I actually cared for this human. I still care for him. So I could be wrong, and maybe he has a good reason. And hopefully he'll get back to me. Like, hopefully we can talk about it. But I want to know. My heart broke. It just triggered a bunch of stuff. Like when my mom, when I finally was telling her about the spankings at the ranch, and oh my God, after not trying to interbulate her after so many weekends. And then she was upset and went to go basically like chew out the governess or whoever was doing this, because she saw all the bruises and the like handprints on my butt. And so I was like, oh, I just felt like, oh, okay, good. Now I feel secure. She's going to go talk to that governess person. I even talked to Jeff about this. He filmed me talking about this. And then I came back. I looked up and my mom was coming back in the dorm. And she was like kind of serious, and the sympathetic tears that she had were gone. And she came in with a piece of paper saying like, this is the policy. This is the governor's policy. So, we have to abide by it. And that right there, where I thought I had comfort and safety, and I realized, nope, you're right on your own again. That's what it felt like.
Wow. Because I've only seen the 1 hour version and not the 2 hour version. So I have this idea of what was in the documentary, and because I saw the 1 hour edit, and what I saw was so lacking of anything other than parts of your story. But like, for example, Nathan Tompkins and Shane Clark were in there. And other than them being on screen explaining certain parts of Scientology policy, I don't remember a single part of their story being in that documentary. But there's a part of me that wonders, well, was that in the other hour that you haven't seen? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I can't speak with any authority on it because I've only seen half the damn documentary. I don't know where to find the whole thing. But what are some of the stuff
you can find? I don't know. I think I'm not going to promote it. I'm not happy about it. If I was happy about it, I would have already been promoting it right when he was in film festivals and stuff.
Right. What are some of the stuff? I mean, you've seen the whole thing. What are some of the stuff that was really impactful that was cut out?
Sarah Seltzer's story. like her whole connection of how, you know, coming into Scientology, my whole story of everything I went through and having to repeat all of the times that really horrific things happened, spankings, other cadets coming in the dorms molesting each other adults coming into cadet dorms at nighttime when the kids are sleeping, the overwork, like the over where they really wanted to enforce to get my ethics in. They had me up nights and nights so that I would just be so fucking tired. I would just wake up, work, and go back to sleep. And at least they drain my energy. I did that constantly. There was a bunch of, I talked about all the suicide, like people trying to kill themselves, Sarah Leobard drinking lye, which was like the chemical used all the time for curing olives, you know, from the olive trees. She was one of my best friends. You know, I talked about other kids wanting to kill themselves and how I was there to just be like, it's fine, you'll get through this. You know, we'll get through. There was so much. And then going back to the Int Ranch, filming everything and showing the evidence of like these rock walls and these lamp, like everything that we built and how clean and prestigious still is. And also how the native Indians at the time, they're filming, like kind of walking us through the property, had so many questions. They were like, oh my God, and the Campbell house. And they were freaked out about the Campbell. I said, you should. That's where all the security guards lived. And that's where all the 24-hour people who were on watch would go, that were either on suicide watch or they're trying to blow and run off. So all this is on video footage. There's evidence of even me picking that thing. And, you know, I don't know how much, I haven't watched it. I should maybe watch it again before I even speak to Jeff, but to know exactly, to tell him like what I'm missing on this. But there's so much. And there was also just the daily, like the daily routines from Gold, and how I would get, you know, people from the Int Ranch cadets would be starting the Purif really early and coming back, and who was allowed to be in what areas at what time, and just a bunch. I like everything. I talked about everything. I went through everything. So wow. It's pretty crazy. I would say at least, I'm not even kidding, probably at least 80 hours to 100 hours of filming, talking about this, like
just with you,
just with me.
Wow. Have you spoken? I'm curious whether Sarah or Nathan or Shane have the same reservations, no pun intended, about
Seltzer. I talked to Sarah Seltzer about it. She definitely was completely confused by it, and also was like, wait, isn't this supposed to be about the cadets and the kids and stuff? What happened?
Wow.
I should talk to her about it again, but I will. I mean, we talk all the time. She's one of my best friends.
Incredible. Do you have a bunch of did Jeff, the director, send you anything that you can use? Do you have a bunch of stuff?
So I think I sort of jogged his memory or whatever when I said like, hey, you were going to give me footage so I can do my own thing for the kids at the ranch. Like, this is supposed to be therapy for them. This is supposed to be, you know, chill. And so I did get some clips. I did get some clips of the ranch. I'm trying to decipher everything even right now and put it all together. So I want to take all the pictures I have and whatever clips he did give me, and then whatever pieces I'm missing, and hopefully try to put that whole conversation together and go from there. But yeah, I'll put that maybe on a video in the future.
So he sent you just some stuff, or he sent you all of it?
He sent me some stuff. No, he didn't send me everything. Even the conversation I had was just clips of me and my mom and me and my dad talking, that phone call. He just sent me like clips of them. Like, they were, instead of just sending me the whole long conversation from start to end, it was just like clips. So I don't know. I need to piece those together and see, where's this conversation? Where, like, yeah. So
he didn't even send you the entire raw footage of your conversation on the phone with your dad?
No, not that I have right now. No.
I used whatever clips from that phone conversation made the final edit I used in the video last night. And the response, you know, in the comment section to that video is pretty strong. To that phone conversation is pretty strong. And yet, from my perspective, I was struck partially by how it seemed to end unnaturally. You're like, there's no way that was the end of the phone call. Why did it end there? Do you know what I mean? Did you see the video last night?
Your video or the video?
The video that I did last night.
Yeah, I saw it after some people were talking to me, sending me messages saying like, what is this? Oh, Aaron. And I was like, what? And so then I was like falling asleep watching that. And so I sent that. I even sent your link to Jeff. I texted him to that. And I said, this, like, I said what I said. And then I said, and I showed him the link that said Scientology sabotaging documentary film, whatever.
Did you feel that even what he showed of that phone call was sanitized to make it not as bad as it actually was?
100%. Yes.
Huh.
And not only that, the amount of times before this phone call. So me and Jeff were just filming because we had planned to film that day anyways to catch up on footage and talk about certain things. In that time, I said, oh, my dad's going to call me. And my dad called me. We were already filming. So my dad called me. But my dad had tried to call me like 2 or 3 times before that. But it just got weird. Oh, I have to call you from another line. And so that's when I answer the phone. I'm like, okay, weird number. He's like, yeah, I'm just in a weird room. And, you know. It's like you went to security. You're in a confined place and they're listening to your phone call and they're going to make sure you talk to me properly.
Yeah.
Not
for those who haven't seen our earlier videos, a lot of people know your parents, but don't know that they are your parents. Can you tell everyone who your parents are?
My mom is Diane Anderson and my father is Phil Anderson. And they're from Canada, Toronto. They were at the Toronto org for maybe some Canada beauties out there who might remember them. They were in the Canada org for, I think, a good 4 or 5 years at the Toronto organization. And then they came from Toronto to Los Angeles and they were down in Los Angeles for some, you know, obviously since I was born 1986 until I think 1990. And then we shipped off to Gold and the InRange.
So from all the feedback we've gotten from viewers over the last several weeks, the consensus seems to be that your mom is still at Golden Era Productions and that your dad is working in the galley at PAC. We think something like that. The canteen. Yeah. Who knows? Posts can change overnight.
Literally. Like, and now that we just said that he's going to go on a different job.
Yeah, exactly. Why is it that we only hear things about your dad disconnecting from you, but not your mom? Why is that? This
is such a good question, Aaron. She's an executive who's at Gold Base, who specifically works for. She has a low job in Golden Era Productions, but she's been on that post and that job for the last 40 something plus years and doing the same thing, reporting and sending information videos to the leader, David Miscavige, and getting and recording anything negative or positive and then editing anything positive that, you know, the cine crew go off and film in France and volunteer ministers or whatever, where there's people needing help or whatever, just to get this footage so they can then take it and edit it in a way where it lines up with the leader's speech at every 2 months where they have these, you know, March 13th event, the L. Ron Hubbard birthday event, Dynetics event, whatever it is, New Year's event. They need to have all this footage that looks good. It needs to look good PR. So for Scientology. So it's almost, I mean, in her mind, I'm thinking she justifies it going, Scientology has such a big purpose. It's okay. It's for the greatest good of the greatest number of dynamic to lie a little bit and make it good PR out of, you know, nothing, so that our purpose on the planet can. So that's the only thing I can think, like, oh, this is where she's able to, in her brainwash controlled mind, think I'm just getting these good, healthy, positive images to line up the speech to, you know, keep the positive message of Scientology going.
Did you say that you thought your mom might even have the job of watching all of our SPTV videos?
I mean, I don't know if she watched. I don't know if she watches, because her mind, she rejects N theta right away. So okay. Maybe she's good at it where she's like, oh, I didn't watch the whole thing. I'm just sending this to, the Injustice chief.
So, but But was it
she's
you
there,
though who speculated?
video like recording and yep, tape playing and recording her little machine. That's her wall, and she's the librarian, just labeling and marking stuff.
So that's why people in the comments go, "Hi Osa, hi Laura's mom."
Yeah, 100%.
By the way, I always say your name Laura. Do you say Lara or Laura? Lara.
It's Lara, but
Lara.
I just thought you and Gary, your honky tonk little accents were like, "Hey, Laura." So I just let it be because I call Gary, and Gary's like, "It's Jackson." And my brain just goes, Jackson was like a security crazy name. And to me, I'm like, now I know Gary very well. So I still call him Gary. And he's like, "I don't go like Gary." It's so cute. And I'm like, well, it's not Laura.
Oh my God.
I was like, I don't go by Laura. I go by Lara.
So check it out. Someone in the comments is saying that the actual version of the documentary that's available for you. I'm only not putting up the comment because you said you didn't want to promote the documentary.
No, I'm not trying to not. I mean, people should watch it, but I'm just saying there's chunks of this missing. There's children's stories that have been erased.
But Laura, check this out. The final version that's available for rent is only 1 hour and 15 minutes long. So the version that I watched is practically the complete version.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Damn, there was another question I wanted to was there anyone were there any cadets, second gens who were in that were completely cut out that you know of?
Maybe maybe people that were under the radar that didn't want to be. He was like, oh well. Maybe he just had so much. He could have just had so much. I don't know the answer to that. I just know who I knew was in the film because I brought them to him.
Oh, I just realized that the last question I asked, I'm still not sure what the answer is. Why did your mom never seem to have to disconnect from you?
So yeah, see, boom, my little brain gets carried away. So she has this job where she's in this little world, basically at Golden Era Productions in Hemet. And David Miscavige needs her on that job. He will do, and he gives her like fancy cameras and manipulative gifts and presents and like appreciations and commendations and whatever to keep her there and making her feel like she's doing everybody like a favor. And she's like, her job is so needed. There was a time anyways that she was trying, there was a time where my dad was here in the LA, he got demoted from gold, did the RPF, and then was trying to, get back up to gold on his production record or whatever. And he kind of realized maybe that he wasn't going to go back to gold and he was kind of just giving up a bit. And he, I guess, started flirting with some other Sea Org member. And he asked my mom, I don't know the details, but I guess he asked my mom for a divorce in some way, either on the phone or through a letter or something. And she got so interbulated and all of her attention went on that. And maybe she was like, maybe I can get transferred to the LA org. We're working on things. And it ended up being my dad going back to the RPF for flirting with a Sea Org member. And my mom being interbulated and staying at gold on her post and just realizing, oh my God, my dad, Phil Anderson has just gone off the rails. So he went back on the RPF after being on it for like 6 or 7 years and then finished it. And so I don't know. I guess he's in the galley. I don't know. Maybe because he didn't get me in. Now I'm an SP. Who knows?
So did she never disconnect because you weren't really in touch with her anyway?
No, she was basically, I'm an executive at the Gold Base, and Phil Anderson, get your fucking daughter under control.
So has she disconnected?
You're disturbing an exec now. Like, this is Phil Anderson getting the pressure. He was definitely getting the pressure. He was coming to my studio, coming to my art place, coming into my private, head space, and was like, hey, we need to talk about this.
Did your mom ever disconnect from you?
Nope. She never called me. She just stopped calling. That's like, basically I knew by the second year-ish, like when I was like, there was no phone call. She always called me no matter what on my birthday, no matter what.
So from your perspective, she disconnected from you just by ghosting you.
100%. She will not talk to me at all. And my dad obviously was the ethics person in this. So.
Wow. Holy shit. Do you think your dad had no clue he was being recorded for that documentary? Do you think he had any idea? Because
No.
you think Scientology? Do you think
I don't
Scientology?
think so. Because we weren't even really planning it. You know, it wasn't like we're planning to film this conversation. I was just like, we're going to be filming. There's other stuff that we were filming too. But then my dad was trying to get a hold of me, and I was like, all right, this is kind of perfect. You can hear how a Sea Org member's think. I had no idea he was going to talk about that. I didn't know he was going to say, like, you need to come into Celebrity Center and see the ethics officer. And it was probably to show me, to threaten me with the goldenrod. And I was saying, I don't need to do that. I think you kind of heard that a little bit in the phone call.
Yeah. No, the phone call is maddening to listen to. I mean, I think it is a study in, these words get thrown around casually, but like psychopathy or narcissism. I mean, I'm sure I'm using those words technically incorrectly, but like for the fact that he started out the conversation going, look, here's my main beef. You just need to talk to the ethics officer. I go, that's not a beef. That's not, you're not even speaking. You're not even thinking in straight lines.
Even how you're saying it, this is my, that's how I felt. Like, and my dad doesn't talk to me like that. Our relationship is actually very cool. Like, we're buddies. He knows I'm a little rebel. He knows I'm a rocker. He loves that I do music. He really does. Like, these are his genes. He loves this. My mom's a ballet dancer. Like, so as his child, he's kind of like, oh, she is kind of her own tough self now, making her own decisions. So we do have that. And so he's like, we have beef. And he's like, and that was like, okay, here we go. Like, that already is heavy to hear when your father is saying that to you.
So it's like you were talking to a stranger on that phone.
It was, I mean, it's not a stranger to me because I know this talk and the way he gets stern when I need to get my ethics in and I'm fucking shit up. And he did this talk even sometimes at the ranch when I would blow, and it was him and my parents. I'll talk about more of this on my episodes. But it was like, there was one time where I was like, I'm going to run away this time and I'm really going to do it. And it was like, wait a minute. It was like the first time I realized as a child, like, where am I going to go? I had run off so far. I was like, but where am I going to go? I could actually die. Yeah. And anyways, so then they called. The only thing that brought me back is they said, you know, they called my parents. They called my mom and dad out from the gold base in the middle of the night and brought them there and said, your mom needs to talk to you. They found, like, they knew where I think I had a radio or something. And they were like, your mother is here. I'm not kidding. I stole one of the adults' radios. And they were like, your mom is here. And I was like, fuck. And they were like, and your father is here.
Wow.
In the middle
the idea of little Laura running away with a radio and like probably an animal and some dog food.
I don't know why you're doing this. It was a walkie-talkie.
Oh, walkie-talkie. Walking, like, probably this little girl walking through the Indian reservation, and they're like, the little white girl is out again. Call the Scientologists.
No, they would say, we got a straggler. Like, yep, you lost. I remember somebody saying, I think somebody was telling me, like, yeah, the Indian chief called and they said, got a straggler. You got another one out here.
Wow. The members of that tribe must have been like, what in the hell are these crazy people doing out here? Why are the kids in their own camp?
Yeah, they were like, why are they trying to come out here? But the Indians were always like, you know, sometimes they would be calling the reporters or child services. But when child services would go on, or the German reporters would fly over their SPs and they're just causing black PR for Scientology. It would be like, no, we hear kids screaming at the top of their lungs like they're being fucking killed, but they're really just being pulled in to get a spanking or being forced to do digging or trench or something ruthless, and they're having a fight with one of the adults.
Yeah.
But remember, we're not children, so we can scream like adults.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I just realized I forgot to mention we are unintentionally live at the same time that the Degraded Daughters of Dianetics are live. Not intentional. Not intentional at all. There's just so many damn channels. It's not possible to coordinate live times. I just wanted to mention that.
But also, we weren't planning this. This happened last night in the middle of our sleep, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. I want to encourage everyone again. This I'm not necessarily saying this just to wrap this up right now. There's other things I want to talk about, but since this comment is here, I want to encourage everyone to jump over, subscribe to Laura FM, help her break 1,000 subs today. That would be
You guys are so sweet.
super cool. And I wanted to address this one as well. Who makes a 75-minute documentary, a 75-minute documentary with 3+ subjects? Guys, there was like at least 7 people involved. You had Karen De La Carriere, Jeffrey Augustine, Bill Franks, Jeanette Haugen. So you had 4 adults and 3 kids. 7 people in a 75-minute documentary. The other thing, Laura, that confuses me a little bit.
I'm sure there were more.
Oh, you think?
I know there were more. There were people Jeff didn't tell me about.
Yeah.
There was one time I was going in to film one of the, like, you know, one of the sessions with the whole film crew and whatever. And I came too early or something. And I saw Nathan Tompkins leaving. And he was like, oh, and I was like, oh, hey, Nathan, or Shane. I think it was Shane. I was like, oh, hey. And then they were like, oh, Laura, you weren't supposed to go. I'm like, whatever, I'm me. And I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of tacky. Like, why am I not allowed to see my friend? So weird.
Yeah, what the hell? You're the one who gave them their name.
I might have caught them on something then, and I just didn't realize it because I was just like giving them all the faith and getting this documentary out.
Wow. Also, it's weird giving a documentary a name that no one knows what the hell it means. Over the Rainbow was the lingo used in Scientology at that time to mean wherever the secret place is that L. Ron Hubbard is right now, is what Over the Rainbow meant. It didn't, and maybe you can help me understand this. Because for a long time, I thought Over the Rainbow meant at int.
I had no idea. I didn't even think about it in that perspective, Aaron.
Oh.
I literally, when he told me the name of it, I was like, that's a cool name for this. So imagine, I'm thinking it's about the cadets and everything, right? Over the Rainbow. Like, only over the other side. Or did we all get out and now we're over the rainbow? It felt like that. I felt like, oh, that's such a cool name. What a great name.
Did you know that back when LRH was in seclusion, if someone says, oh, he went over the rainbow, it means he went to wherever the secret place is that LRH is? You didn't know that? That's so you really haven't watched this documentary, because I think that's explained in the documentary.
I think I was just waiting the whole time for the kids or the cadets parts to show more, and it didn't. And so I think I kind of wasn't really paying attention to the needle floating and whatever Karen and Jeff were saying. I just was like, okay, whatever.
Do you want to hear something else crazy?
Understand it. I should watch it again before.
Karen and Jeff told me even that scene with the e-meter wasn't supposed to be in the documentary. They just asked for a demonstration of how the e-meter worked and what Tom Cruise would have possibly done. And she's like, that shit wasn't supposed to be in the documentary. Isn't that weird?
In a way, it kind of made them look like they were kind of saying like, hey, Scientology's kind of like, this sort of not so, sort of like unclarified. Like, no, people don't really understand it. And we still don't. It's just kind of loopy. And it's like, no, that's not what this was about. And it's not like Karen and Jeff don't have a lot more that they would have loved to put in that documentary. I know they have their own son, Alex Gents. I was in Clearwater with him when I got busted from CMO. I was embarrassed because Alex Gents, at the time, he also had like a little crush or something toward it. It was like, we got along. It was like maybe just a friend kidly thing, but like we got along sweetly. And I remember him not judging me for being demoted from CMO, going back into the flag crew cleaning, public areas cleaner. I remember him being just nice, like, and he's like, hey Megan, blah blah blah. Like he just like went with the flow, like, it's fine, okay, cool, you'll take care of these things. Like, he already knew I was a freaking programs operator, so he just was just such a cool guy, such a sweet kid, never needed to be harmed in any way, never needed to have any of this crap that happened to him. And none of this is like in the documentary. What?
Right. That's
like,
right.
That already is 5 red flags. So yeah, Jeff has a lot of explaining to do to me, and maybe he'll be open and just tell me straight up. I don't know. I'm going to wait for that conversation.
So you were in Clearwater with Karen's son, Alex Jench, when he was mysteriously shipped off overnight to California. And you told me last night that you said there's only two reasons people get shipped off, and we knew it was one or the other. We just didn't know which one it was. Go ahead. Tell everyone what's the only two reasons people disappear overnight in the Sea Org?
You either want to kill yourself, or you want to commit suicide, or something has happened to you, like you were a minor or a child and you got molested or something, and you need to get away from the criminal act that happened. So you need that person to be shipped off and away, or that kid to be shipped off and away. Away
from the jurisdiction where the crime occurred.
Where it happened, right. So get them as far away so that legally there's no issue, even if they are pushed.
Yeah. So even as a young Sea Org member in Clearwater, when Alex disappeared, you're like, he either got molested or he wanted to kill himself. Like, it was just, people knew it was one or the other. And the truth was, he was the victim of statutory rape. As I always I don't want to misstate the legal fact of something, but I'm pretty sure he was 14 years old when some 40-year-old Sea Org member had relations with him. And I was even contacted by someone who was on the RPF with that person, because that person was also sent out of Clearwater. And all of this shit was in the documentary. And once you know,
I mean, I don't know what Aaron, I don't know what Karen and Jeff talked about.
Well, I know, because I've spoken to them about it.
Okay.
And once you know that the information about Alex was in the documentary, and then you see what the hell they left in, you go, well, what the hell's going on here? You know, because the documentary could have had a real powerful point. It could have been exposing abuse of children in Scientology.
It would have opened the gate a lot faster and a lot better for a lot of kids right now who are currently struggling or who killed themselves, who are no longer with us today, right now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Perhaps let's take a look at this one. How long have you not been involved with Scientology?
I got excommunicated about 5 years ago now. I got declared. My brother called me and told me from Texas about 5 or 6 years ago that they showed him my golden rod.
And how many siblings do you have?
I have a brother and a sister. My sister's still a Scientologist. She was in the cadet org in the ranch. She went, and I speak about this in my episode, but we were all shipped off in little groups to the ranch, and me and my sister, I just felt, because she's my sister, we were shipped off to Clearwater together. So we were also in Clearwater during my ups and downs of going to CMO and being on the exec lines and all that, and then getting demoted. My sister and I have always been in the same area our whole lives. So when I left the Sea Org, you're still a Scientologist. Most of you know this. When you leave the Sea Org, it's not just like, oh, good, now I understand the world. It's like, holy crap. Yeah. So anyways, Colleen, my sister, is married to the person she married in the Sea Org and is out of the Sea Org, but they're still Scientologists. And I'm sure they're paying their freeloader bill and doing their lower conditions to get back into good standing with Scientology. But my brother is out. He went through so much crap. And I'll just leave that at that for now. But he's sober now and I love him to the moon and back.
So you're in touch with your brother, but not your sister?
No, she won't talk to me.
Incredible.
The last email she sent me was, somehow you've gotten yourself declared a suppressive person and your new terminal is IJC. Calling.
There you go. Interesting to me that your sister was told to send that letter, but not your mom. It's just so weird. I just want to address this for people who joined a little later. Jeff is the name of the non-Scientologist director of the documentary. And it gets confusing because Jeff Augustine is one of the people who was in the documentary. So sometimes we've been using those names interchangeably. Okay. Anything else we want to say about this for now? You want to wrap it up here? You're going to be showing some of the footage that you have that wasn't in the documentary later on your channel, right?
Yeah, later on, not today, but I will be I'm going through it and just I also want to, in that time, sort of put pictures of things and stuff, so I can just old pictures of the ranch and what that looks like now, so that other kids watching this and other adults that were at the ranch can kind of process, like, oh my God, I built those. There's something about pausing the video and like, oh my God, I built this rock. I did these rock wall. Oh my God, I was sweating, like, so it's very therapeutic. It might not seem that way to the viewers, but it's so therapeutic for people who have not been back to the ranch since, you know, since
Incredible.
Since it was shut down.
All right. Well, you broke 1,000 subscribers, Lara.
Yay! I feel so blessed. What do I do now?
Subscribe to Lara. Don't miss that that never before seen footage of the Int Ranch. I think it's incredible. I didn't know that members of the tribe or people who live on the reservation were the ones who actually accompanied you guys back to the site to do the filming and everything. That's wild.
Yeah, they yeah. I think they were kind of like, no more Scientologists on our property. And then,
but they gave you guys permission to go. That's pretty.
And then
they
cool. I kind of loosened up a bit. You know, I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, the Camel House is creepy. And they're like, yeah, they kind of were like, who is this like white Weta girl? I was like, yeah, let me show you. Let me show you where the shit is. It was so funny. They loved it. They were like, oh my God, yeah, we'll look out for you. And I gave them my CD music I had done at the time. And they were like, it was so therapeutic. This is why it's so upsetting. I'm not attacking Jeff, the director. I'm saying, please tell me what happened. This is not cool.
Yeah.
I didn't go into this documentary to have this as the result at all.
If he does get in touch with you, ask him if he's allowed to sell the footage, to sell the raw footage. Like, I mean, he clearly doesn't have a distribution deal, right? I mean, I don't know. What do I know? I grew up in a cult. I don't know shit.
I would like to have this conversation with him. So if I do, I'll let you know.
Yeah, maybe his beef is that you're asking for it for free. Ask him if it's available for.
That's not the beef at all.
I'm just saying, ask him if he's willing to sell it. The footage, the raw footage. The worst he can say is no.
Okay,
the worst he can say is no.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everyone who watches until the very end, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
If you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right